You know what, guys? I got to be fair. If I'm going to criticize any football team and call them fraudulent and just make fun of them and laugh at their face and stuff like that, then you know what? I got to do the exact same thing with my team, right? You guys can see right there, for those who don't know which fan base I'm rocking with, which team I'm rocking with, I got to be completely fair because that's what we do on this channel. We try to give, we try to be fair here on this channel, right? We can make fun of football teams and here and there, but you know what? I try to give us, at the end of the day, I try to take biases aside and stuff like that, and I try to be as objective as possible with my criticism. I may have fun doing it, but I try to be as constructive as possible when trying to, do any sort of analysis, regarding football, because I try to give you guys a really, really good product of just me speaking and just, uploading and just doing content. And I got to I got to hold my team accountable, because the fact and the truth of the matter is that if South Florida just had a decent quarterback that had solid ball placement, instead of just winging the throw with some of the shittiest throwing motions and that you will ever see, we probably would have lost this game. And I'm not over exaggerating about it. We could have lost this game. We could have lost this game. There were 3 or 4 deep balls that, for some weird reason, we continue to rotate with 4, 5, and 6 defensive backs, including with our slot and outside corner positions. Red Morgan, Jalen Mbakwe, Deshaun Jones, King Mack. We continue to rotate our defensive backs heavily because at this point, I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know if this is going to be a part of it, or if they truly can't figure out what the starting rotation is actually going to be. But the fact that once again you rotate 4, 5, or 6 dudes in the defensive backfield, and yet Jalen Mbakwe, when he got in, struggled. Red Morgan, when he got in and played man coverage, struggled. And the crazy part is there was no safety help. There was no safety help. And there were 3 or 4 passes that I'm telling you, if this quarterback just had some sort of accuracy and just hits on one of those deep passes, it could have changed the trajectory of the game. South Florida's quarterback, Brown, is absolutely garbage. All he literally had was a running game, and yet we were in danger of potentially even losing this game because of the careless amount of mistakes that we were making on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. We looked fraudulent today. I'm just going to come out and say it. We looked fraudulent. We did not look like a national championship contender. We looked nowhere near it. This was a terrible performance. And it's not just on the players, it's on the coaching staff. Because why in the hell did we not run 12 or 13 personnel in the first half especially when we ran a lot of jumbo on the right side of the offensive line to help kind of compensate for our right tackle's weakness? Why didn't we do that in the first half? When you see that Wilkin Formby is struggling on inside stunts, on the defender, continuously crossing his face and beating him on the inside and on the outside, why did we not try to compensate by getting another tight end or by getting another tight end, or maybe, you could have run 12. You could have had 2 tight ends and try to help kind of compensate for that. Use play action, right? Use play action, something. But we did not do anything to kind of help compensate for the tackle. Instead, the only position that has to try to do that are our guards. Because plenty of times, whenever they were having inside pressure, it was because Jaden Roberts is trying to, I think it was Jaden Roberts. I think it was because Jaden Roberts was trying to help compensate with the inside pressure. Because Wilkin Formby either took the wrong assignment or he just got beat on the inside stunt. And there was nothing we can do about it. Too many times, man. And listen, Wilkin Formby, he won the job outright. He earned that job. But he was absolutely terrible. And we all know that he doesn't have the physical aspect in his game compared to a Pritchett. Pritchett, in terms of identifying, and I hate to say it, but in terms of IQ, pass sets, any sort of pass protection, Pritchett's terrible. But in run blocking situations where you can get him out in space, you can use pin and pull with him. Oh, Pritchett's phenomenal because he's one of the best and most gifted Alabama offensive linemen in terms of strength, athleticism, quickness, and speed. He might be the best in the entire team in terms of that aspect. He just doesn't have he just can't get pass pro right. Formby's responsibility in his job was he was considered to be one of the best communicators in this offense, where he can identify certain defensive sets, and he knew exactly his responsibility, and he could handle that. Maybe not the best, but he was right. He was solid there. That was his responsibility. If he would have just struggled today in the run game, which he did struggle in the run game, but did exactly what we thought he could do in pass sets, I would have been fine with that. Because I know what we can do to either try to help strengthen it by adding those extra tight ends to help in the run game, or we can even try to run away from it by going once again, or we can try to run away from it and focus on running to the left side or rolling Jalen Murrow out to the left side, because that would be the main strength of this offense if Caden Proctor's healthy. But it was terrible. Formby barely even had any help. Like, he was just left alone to kind of defend for himself, and he's getting his ass kicked the entire game. Then the mistakes happen. I mean, Formby had 5 penalties caught him, and 3 of them were on crucial plays. And the crazy part is the Jalen Murrow touchdown to Ryan Williams, that should have been a holding call. That was a blatant holding call, and thankfully we got away with it. But Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer, I have to call you people out. The coaching today on the offensive side of the ball, DeBoer and Sheridan, the area that we were supposed to be good at, the area that we were supposed to excel at compared to Tommy Rees, well, guess what? This was a Tommy Rees-like performance. Because guess how we were able to score touchdowns last year against South Florida? What happened? We decided to help compensate for the weakness of our tackles by, what do? Start adding more of our tight ends. Start adding more of our tight ends to kind of help seal out the edge. Run more pin and pull, and that's how we were able to score touchdowns. That's how we were able to move the ball last year. This year, it was like watching the exact same shit happen against the exact same team. South Florida, for the most part, man, they just rushed 5, have a fucking extra spy. Sometimes they would play 0. Sometimes they'll simply just play 0 and crash down, and that was it. But I think this shit was even worse, because at least last year, they just ran that shit the entire game because they knew that we had no passing attack. This year, a lot of the times, they either just rushed 4 or 5, and they were just getting home. Sometimes running base and getting home. Because of Formby and 72 are the other guard that's trying to fill in for Booker, because we had to push Booker out the left tackle because we were so fucking stubborn to have McVay or Pritchett in the football game. Hell, you could have put Pritchett at left tackle, have Tyler Booker slide right back in at guard, and guess what happens? At least now you have a phenomenal interior. You now have a phenomenal interior offensive line that you could try to run behind. You're telling me that Miles McVay, you're telling me that how even like an Olis Alainen, are you telling me that they're just not good enough to be in the game? Because when we saw Elijah Pritchett get in the game, finally, what happened? The shit changed. The shit just changed. And we decided to do something that we should have been running in the fucking first half. This was bullshit. And this result, this fucking disaster that almost happened tonight, this was on you, Kalen DeBoer. This was on you, Nick Sheridan, for running some of the dumbest fucking formations, some of the dumbest fucking blocking schemes I have seen since Tommy Rees, which wasn't that long ago, against fucking Michigan. Bullshit. The fact that this shit went on for as long as it did until we finally decided to pull up our fucking big boy pants and decided to do something about it. Bullshit. Bullshit. As much as I'm mad about the players, I'm more pissed off at this fucking coaching staff for trying to experiment instead of running something that we should have been doing in the fucking first place. Up here experimenting, bullshitting around against South Florida, making us look bad. The fuck are we doing? And then don't even get me started on the defensive backfield rotating 5, 6 fucking defensive backs. I'm sick of that shit. Get this shit right. Because against Georgia, against some of the best passing attacks, you don't think they're going to take advantage of it? You're fucking up the continuity. You're fucking up the communication. Bullshit. We fucking rotate more than Georgia. At some point, at first, it was cool. Get these players more experience. But all of a sudden, I'm seeing the exact same shit, and we're making the exact same fucking mistakes. And I'm like, okay, why are we doing this? Why do we continue to rotate with these young defensive backs? I understand we're trying to get them experience, but they're not ready for this stage. They're not ready yet. And we're 2 weeks away from playing against Georgia. 2 weeks. Get it right. Bullshit, man. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be fair here. We looked fraudulent as a motherfucker today. And I'm telling you, if we don't get this shit right, this is going to be a long football season.